next time you're in Cookeville and have a little bit of extra time on your hands, I have a great suggestion of a place you can visit. You can learn all about the history of this city at the Cookeville History Museum. When you first walk in the museum, you immediately go to the left, and like we're in that part of the museum as we speak. What do we see there behind you, and tell us about this part of the museum?
This was built by two fabulous docents. They have a background in set design, and so this is our pioneer room. And so this grabs your attention as soon as you come in, and you kind of feel submerged in this time period. Each of the rooms are divided into different time periods or eras.
And what am I seeing directly there behind you?
Well, this is a cradle, and this is a big spinning wheel, and we have the irons by the fire and the animal pelts, and yeah.
Do you feel like you're walking back into time a little bit when you come to this part of the museum?
Oh, absolutely. You're absolutely going to be a time traveler for sure.
And after you leave this part of the museum, what's the next thing that you'll see?
Then we go into our Civil War area. Cookeville was established in 1854. Putnam County was established a little bit before that, but we lost our charter, but then we got it back. So right around there is when Cookeville really begins to become Cookeville.
And what are some of the more memorable items that you can see in the Civil War part of the museum?
Oh, we have a reunion uniform from a soldier that was actually from Jackson County. And so we also have an old soldier's diary. It's pretty priceless.
Oh, it's very small, but I mean,
Yes.
but tell me just how unique that is to have this. I mean, because that's totally a part of history of this county.
It is. It's very authentic. Sometimes, to portray parts of time, we have to get reproductions, but that's authentic, and it's really cool that we have that here.
Now, once you get past the Civil War part of the museum, what is the next thing that you'll be seeing?
Then we kind of go into like our schools area, and it talks a little bit about the west side is a very historic area. We used to have the Princess Theater there, and there's a Victrola for where the Princess Theater with their sound. Kids can't really imagine that. I'll ask them, do you know what this is? And they're like, I'm like, it's a record player. And they're like, what's records? I'm like, before CDs. So.
And then after you get past the educational part, then what's our next stop?
It talks about the train depot and about how this area grew because we had a passenger service depot right in our area. So
How vital was that to this community as far as establishing the community when you have a depot just like right here in town?
Oh, it was very bustling and booming. During the time we had World War II going on, and so a lot of soldiers were coming in and out of that. We actually have a soldier waiting on a train there still.
Wow.
He's a mannequin. His name is Eugene.
And of course, you also have a World War I part of the museum as well. Are there any things in that particular part of the museum that you guys really like to tell the tourists about?
We just featured World War I in our traveling exhibit, or our non-permanent collection. And I really like the artifact that is trench art. So, these soldiers would sit for hours and hours on end, and they would make these shells that would fall from the explosions, and they would turn them into art or like cups or mugs. And we actually have one of those, so that's pretty cool.
You also have a section of the museum dedicated to World War II.
We do, and in that area, we actually have uniforms from both the Ally and Axis powers.
And tell me a little bit about those uniforms and what do they look like?
Well, they're very distinguishable because of the Nazi swastika. Then it talks about the economic growth. So we feature a lot of businesses that were specific to our area. We have Cream City, which is close to our depot, which now is an ice cream shop, but at the time it was an ice cream factory. So they made the ice cream there. You couldn't actually eat it.
Also, you have a Vietnam War area too, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Our docent that I was referring to earlier, he donated his uniform while he was a navigator in the Vietnam War. And kids really noticed that because he has the helmet that looks like a pilot, but the pilot needed a navigator. So I'll correct them if they really want to know the specifics, but they recognize it.
I guess the final stop within would be the current news of the day, isn't it, pretty much?
Mm-hmm. We try and keep our statistics about how Cookeville is growing because now we have a university. I say now, but I totally attended that university. and it just keeps growing. And we just keep trying to fit more and more stuff in here.
You have revolving exhibits at the front of the building as well?
In our front room, we do more current themes. We've had anything from, pop culture collections of Star Wars to photo collections of a World War I soldier.
Mm-hmm. What will be the next exhibit there in the front?
We are going to feature biographies of African Americans that made a difference in this local history.
Okay.
So,
and that will be when?
We're going to debut that January 28th, and we're going to run it through February.
If you would like to visit the Cookeville History Museum, the address is 40 East Broad Street in Cookeville. Admission is free, and the hours of operation are from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. Reporting from Cookeville, Barry Hyatt, NCTV.